So I am actually going to be planting 4 things in my garden, and as you can see, I already started popping in some seeds. These are my cucumber seeds, and these over here are going to be my semi-germinated pepper seeds. So I have, as you can see, little holes here and here, and I have my tomatoes that are growing in the background that are enjoying the breeze. And then over here I have kidney beans, which my family absolutely loves, and they have popped up really nicely. So in this section of the garden, I specifically left little patches like this in this area, and one right here. I just popped one in. So I'm going to put, I already had cucumber I put in here, 1 or 2 seeds, same thing right over here. I'm going to hold off and wait because I'm pretty sure I might have accidentally planted another bean plant over here, just in case. But I wanted to put my cucumbers close to the edge of the bed because they're going to get a lot of sun. Because at this point, this is where the sun's coming in. And 2, I can let them cascade and hit out on the mulch if they need to. Over here, I have my lovely little nasturtium plant that's growing pretty well. And then right in this little section, I just sprinkled in my basil, which I absolutely love. Grows really well for some strange reason in this corner, or over in that corner over here. Last year it grew massive. I had more basil than I could think of. Then we had that freeze and it killed my poor basil plant. So with this section right here, I'm actually going to be planting some more pepper seeds. Do 2 rows of peppers. I tightly pack them in because I actually trim my plants extremely well. But then I'm also going to put, later on, once everything grows up, I want to see how shade it really is. And I do tend to pay attention to the soil. If I don't have a good ground cover, like I'm going to have a cantaloupe, 1 cantaloupe over here, just 1. And I noticed that 1 cantaloupe last year when I grew with my beans did 3 times better than growing it over here in its own little cantaloupe patch, just because they work as a symbiotic relationship together. The beans pull off the nitrogen, and of course the cantaloupe puts out phosphorus and calcium, and then it works as a harmonization in the garden. And I had the best cantaloupe, so I put 1 because I know he's going to get big, and I'm going to give him some chance to come out over here if he needs to. But I also add, halfway through my gardening stage, which is quite hilarious, when I start noticing that my soil is getting very dry in those hotter months and I am consistently watering it 2 or 3 times a day. If that is happening, on top of putting mulch into fully grown plants, I will actually put in white clovers, and that works as a good ground cover. Now I do have to keep it trimmed down because they can get a little unruly, but it works. And it works well because on my family's farm, that's actually what we put in the beds for ground covers. We run them right down the rows and we plant clovers in there. It also keeps the rabbits busy so they're not chewing on our actual garden. They can chew on all the clovers they want because we will have 40, 50, 60 feet of clover compared to them chewing on the new seedlings. So I have always been doing that because it works as a great ground cover. It locks in the moisture. And there's tons of other things that you can do. You can even plant an oregano plant. Italian oregano does really well. It likes to spread out. I wouldn't recommend mint unless you're going to put it in its own little area. It will spread out and it will make a great ground cover. Don't get me wrong. If you have an in-ground bed that's pretty large, you can throw some mint in as long as it companion plants really well. But I have found that you can control an Italian oregano plant a lot faster than you can control a mint plant. Let me tell you, because that can be a mess. But this is what I'm doing today, this morning, is filling in my garden bed tightly spaced. I tried to do some even rows, but I still like to tightly space everything because as it grows, certain things based on certain height are going to shade other plants, especially those cucumbers. They like sun, But we all know they don't like that scorching Florida sun that they're going to end up getting in the hotter months. And then they tend to wither out and fizzle out and die. That's also why I plant my cucumbers in stages. I will plant these cucumbers and let these guys come up. I usually put some in some seed starters. Once I start seeing flowers on the cucumbers that I plant in here. And when these guys start to fizzle out, when it gets hot, I can pull them out and start. I have another starter ready to go. So it's a constant cycle in my garden whatsoever. Obviously, I haven't really messed with this yet. We're putting in a new fence. So I'm holding off and I'm waiting until the fence guys come in. So I'm really afraid they're going to trample this area over here. But with good luck, this weather is going to hold. My temperature in my garden bed, I just took the temperature, 75 degrees. That is good because we've had some hot days this past week. I don't think even if it dips into the 32s for me, it's going to get that cold that quickly. And it's only for a couple of days, which I'm super happy with at this point. So follow me if you want to see more bizarre gardening tips that actually work in Central Florida. Check out my page and you can see what I'm all about. I have 365 days of gardening in a whole new garden in a bare space. So you can see what I plant in Winter Park, Florida, see what works well for me, and I'm going to show you my fails. I'm going to show you those plants that look terrible throughout the season. I'm going to show you the ones that look amazing. That's what I'm all about. So you have a wonderful Sunday.